sitting here right now at the Clarion Hotel with Dan Hardy. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, really good. Yeah, it's been a long day.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, it was like this. Now you work for the UFC, mainly in Europe, with like doing the same job that Joe Rogan does in the States.
Yep, trying.
Yeah, of course, and you're doing a great job. Am I that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are, or how did that opportunity came across? You were fighting Matt Brown. It was a huge fight. What happened?
Well, I went in for the medicals, like like the request in California. In California, you've got tighter medical testing. And one of the things they required was an EKG, which I've not done before. And when I did it, they found a second heartbeat, and they pulled me out of the fight straight away, because obviously they were concerned about liability issues and my own safety and that kind of thing. So they took me out of the fight straight away, and I've not been able to get a solid, clear answer from anybody as to what I can do, other than to get the surgery, which I really don't feel I need. I mean, it's never affected me, and I've never had I've had so many fights and always been healthy. So I'm very much against having any kind of surgery in order to continue fighting. I want to try and get cleared without it. But in the meantime, I bumped into Dana at the UFC offices, and he was like, "Oh, we've got a great job for you." And Dana's very persuasive, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. You're gonna be awesome at it." So I like the idea of moving back to the UK anyway. It's been a long time since I've lived near my family, and I would like to spend more time with them. And this was a perfect job. I get to go to all the events and watch all the upcoming European fighters and see them contest against American fighters like we saw tonight on the card, and just still be a part of the UFC. And as a result of that, I've been growing myself as a martial artist, because I've been watching so many fights now, trying to catch up on all the new weight classes, and you get very single-minded when you're fighting, and I was always focused on my particular opponent, and then I'd watch a couple of other fighters, but now I have to watch everything that's on, and all the weight classes, all the channels, all the just to keep up with the game, and I feel like my knowledge of the sport is growing very, very quickly.
Cool, good to hear. You're doing great at your job right now, but do you see yourself finding your way back into the UFC? You are already in it still.
As a fighter, you mean? Yeah, I'm still under contract as a fighter as well. I plan on getting cleared to fight. I've just moved back to the UK, like I said, so that slowed things down, buying a house and shipping all my stuff back from Vegas and that kind of stuff. So now that's done, I can really focus on getting cleared, and this job's keeping me really busy as well. I'm constantly travelling around for the UFC. We're heading off to Australia soon to do the Bisping Rockhold card, so it's a busy job, but I have no complaints. I'm very lucky to be a UFC fan with such a cool job.
Fantastic, it's good to hear, and I hope to see you back in the cage sometime not too far away.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. You are doing all of Europe now, and also a bit in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Since we are from MMA Norway, and MMA is definitely illegal there, but also in bigger European countries like France. How do you think that will go? How do you think the UFC will sort out the issues around that?
Well, there are a lot of things the UFC can do, and they are taking steps. The most important thing is just to educate people. The worst thing is to condemn something that you don't know anything about. And the people that are condemning the sport are people that are just not educated in what it's about. And the problem is they have this picture in their head of what they think the sport's like. They see a cage and they see guys with small gloves on, elbowing each other in the face, and it looks terrible. But just sit down and have a 5-minute conversation with Gunnar Nelson, and he will change your perspective about the sport, because he's not at all thuggish. He's a very intelligent guy, and we have all different kinds of people competing in the sport that have got all different kinds of backgrounds. Again, Tor Trang is I don't know, physicist or mathematician or something. He's a very intelligent guy. Akira Kurosani as well is another intelligent guy. So it's just, for me, it's just a misunderstanding of the fighters and the athletes that are involved, and we need this. We need this arena in order to test ourselves. That's what it's about. It's not about hurting anybody else. It's about looking inside and seeing what we're made of. And a lot of the time we see, like we're having problems in New York, obviously, and that's politics around boxing, in my opinion, and that's a shame. But with the other European countries, I think it's just a misunderstanding, because they see one thing and attach their own associations to it, and that's the problem. And the UFC can do a lot of things to help. Like, just as an example, this week in Stockholm, I've been travelling around doing seminars. I did a seminar for some underprivileged kids in a bad part of town, and then I taught a seminar for the police as well. So just doing those kind of things and trying to integrate into society in helpful ways, so these countries and these governments can see that we have a lot to offer as well. And there's no reason why MMA should be illegal. I mean, especially when you've got kickboxing shows and grappling tournaments, it's just a combination of all these put together. And on top of that, the amount of revenue these countries could generate by allowing these fights into their cities would create a lot of work and a lot of finance that could be used for good things. Put it back into education or something. I don't know, but there's no reason to keep us out, and we'll be in very soon.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Like in France, for instance, we have that world champion of judo, Teddy Riner. I don't know if you know him. He's a big guy, world champion, and he's talking against MMA, calling it barbaric and cockfighting and like human cockfighting, like the classic. How could we address like such a big voice against the sport?
Well, with a situation where you have somebody, like a judo champion that stands out against the sport, the best thing that could happen is we'll just sit the guy down in the room with me and put a TV camera on us and let him and I have a conversation so we can figure out his resistances to the sport. Because it might not be anything to do with the sport, it might be some kind of issue that he has personally with himself, that he feels threatened by the sport, he feels threatened by the development of martial arts. Because, we've seen all these old school kung fu guys back in the day that they hated the UFC because I can't show how deadly I am because I'm too dangerous. And there's this whole ego that comes with martial arts, and for me, mixed martial arts is an opportunity to completely extinguish ego from martial arts, to get in there and prove yourself, and, put it on the line and get knocked out on TV. If you're that good at judo, if you're that good at karate, if you're that good at Muay Thai, step inside and show us against all the other martial arts in the world. For me, martial arts is about personal discovery. It's a journey into self. It's a journey to find out what we're capable of. And however you do that, that's entirely up to you. If you find that through judo, then that's great, but you can't condemn somebody else for using another tool to do it. And for me, the tool has always been mixed martial arts. Ever since I started, I've always been looking for the best combination of things that would work. And I mean, for me, it was always Muay Thai. That was always my favourite. It was always the most direct. But if I stuck with Muay Thai and never tried MMA, I would never feel like a complete fighter. I would never feel like I've really tested myself. And the reason that I wanted to do UFC in the first place, I watched UFC 2 and I thought, this is crazy. I've done all kinds of other martial arts, but this scares the hell out of me. So then I have two options. I can either condemn it as being barbaric because it scares the hell out of me, or I can dive right in and see if I can face myself, which is what I did, and what a lot of other guys do. But then there are those few people that either don't have the appeal to do that for themselves, or don't have the courage to do that. It's not their business whether I should do that or not. I don't believe that any man in the world can say to another man, you can't do this, because what I do with my life is my decision, and as long as I have good intention with it, I don't see the problem. And you won't find a guy in mixed martial arts with bad intention, because everybody can be humbled inside the octagon.
Your personality has changed a lot since you first got into the UFC, or maybe evolved is a better word. I've heard some rumors, or I've heard you say it actually, that you have been taking ayahuasca, and just tell us about that. How did that make a change?
Well, it was a very interesting process actually. I was on a 4-fight losing streak, and I've been hearing about ayahuasca and about how it can help people understand themselves in various different types of ways. And obviously, with martial arts, with mixed martial arts, one of the main purposes for me competing is to question myself and what I'm capable of. But at the same time, we always have these things in our head that we can kind of like skirt around, and we can lie to ourselves a little bit and ignore things that we perhaps don't want to face. Whereas with an experience like an ayahuasca ceremony, you have to face yourself. You have to look at all the darkest parts of your personality, and I would like to think that part of my personality changing was me just naturally growing up. But at the same time, I knew that there were huge jumps in my my operating system, my perspective of the world. Particularly before my first experience, I felt very much like my problems were surrounding me. Like I couldn't get away from them. I couldn't clear my head and focus on anything. And after my first experience, I felt very much like I was able to separate from my problems and almost lay them down on a table like a jigsaw and start figuring them out. And it just helping me keep my mind open to possibilities and to understand the power that I have as a person and just as a being. You know, I mean, this is this human experience is very temporary, and I don't know what comes after it, and I don't know what came before it, but I feel instinctually that as long as I approach every day with good intention and try and leave a good mark on the world, then regardless of what happens after, I'll be at peace with myself. And it's amazing how many questions I get asked about ayahuasca. Ever since I mentioned it on the Joe Rogan podcast, I've done a couple of interviews, and the London Real thing as well came up, and the word seems to be spreading about it. People seem to be getting very interested, and there seems to be this global awakening going on, and a network right across the world is building. People from Australia and from the US and from everywhere in the world are all connected, and everybody's brains are evolving at the same time, and the human race is moving forward, and I can feel it within myself. I can feel it happening, and as I meet other people, I can see it in them as well. And ayahuasca is one great tool for it, and martial arts is another, and anything that forces you to be better is a route to evolution, and I think ayahuasca is just one of those tools, and it's a very powerful one, and it's got to be respected. It's nothing to do with partying and having a good time, because they can be very, very difficult and very uncomfortable, and there's a lot of throwing up and crying and sweating, and it's quite an unpleasant experience for the most part, but the personal growth that I got from it was unreal, and you'd be surprised how many athletes are using it and helping themselves grow with it. It's a very powerful and very strong medicine, and I hope to see the world experience it one day.
And I'm on it right now, man. I'm tripping balls.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good talking to you.